Dublin City FM, it's Good Morning Dublin, Stephen Daly here, and delighted to be joined in studio this morning by Matthew Gavin, who is CEO and founder of ADHD Now. Now, look, I've spoken about ADHD on the show a couple of times, so it's great to be able to talk to somebody else who's kind of in that particular field. Matthew, how are you?
I'm brilliant. Yeah, thanks for having me.
So talk to us about ADHD. You have ADHD, right?
I do, yeah. So I was diagnosed early last year with ADHD. So I'm 30 now. I was diagnosed when I was 29, and it was a surprise to me. It really was. It was an emotional journey getting diagnosed because it explained so much in my past. And, I think people with undiagnosed ADHD, you do a lot of things and you have daily kind of habits without being aware of them that kind of maybe trip you up, and they kind of itch away at you or chip away at you, and you can feel and get very down about that. And then there's also, extreme highs as well with ADHD. You can be hyper focused, you can be really zoning into something, and it's a double-edged sword, ADHD, where it's brilliant in one way and it can be, very not so great in another.
It's great to hear it coming back, because I had the exact same experience. I was diagnosed late last year, and when you get that diagnosis, and I say this to people all the time, and I'm sure you do as well, it doesn't really change anything, but it helps you explain so many different things, and it gives you this feeling of like, actually, do you know what? I'm not actually crazy. It makes so much sense. And, having your ADHD diagnosis and looking back now, can you see those little kind of things in your life that you were kind of going like, oh yeah, that was definitely ADHD. And, had I known then what I know now, I could have handled it better.
Yeah, it's amazing. It really is when you, like, there's a couple of things in it, but it's one you mentioned there about, when you hear of someone else with ADHD and like you connect with them, like, you realize you're not alone. And I mean, a lot of the time you probably think, does no one else think like this, throughout your life, or you see things differently from people. And then when you realize no one else, well, a lot of people don't see that way, you're a bit surprised. And then looking back, there are, like, my younger self now, like looking back, it's kind of like you're feeling a bit sorry for that person. And you wish things could have been different. Now, everything in my past has led me to here, and I'm delighted and grateful for it. But there are those moments where you're like, God, I wish that younger person, even around exams, how ADHD affects relationships and how you're to manage yourself. It's coming up to junior cert and leaving cert time. Those children going into there, I'm very hyper aware. During my leaving cert, I had a tough time with it at the same time of having undiagnosed ADHD. And I remember I just couldn't learn in class. I used to my teacher, if anyone's listening to this, don't blame me, but some classes I just really didn't see a point in going because I couldn't sit there and learn from someone talking to me about it. I used to take the book home. I used to teach myself. I used to have to do it kind of physically. If I was going, say, biology, I'd be touching the parts of the body, be my shoulder and things when I was trying to map out the bones or muscles. And I'd be going through all that. And it's a different style of learning for someone with ADHD, and you don't get the accommodations. And look, at the same time of having undiagnosed ADHD, I had, my mum had a brain hemorrhage like a couple of days before the leaving cert.
It's always going to complicate
things.
And
also with ADHD, you really struggle with emotions. Like, one of the things for ongoing management of ADHD symptoms is like cognitive behavioral therapy, or therapy can be really beneficial because you learn to manage those highs and lows, understand behavioral pathways. But for children going through this kind of extreme stress right now of coming into their leaving cert, and for me, it was extremely piled on top of each other with everything that was going on. And looking back on that person now, I didn't do particularly well in my leaving cert, largely because of, one, I will blame, myself, not just ADHD for a lack of studying, but also, ADHD and handling that emotionally. I wasn't aware. I didn't know I might have had further accommodations if like people do now, be it the DARE scheme as well, if you're going into that, or if someone's listening to this and their child is kind of going into that, definitely look up the DARE scheme to get accommodations. And then fortunately now, the leaving cert isn't the be all and end all. I didn't do particularly well, but I got into a course that I was interested in. And then from there, I've gone on to do, objectively, some good and interesting things with my life so far, and long may it continue. But that was where ADHD gives you that hyper focus. And I just use that as the energy and the channel where if I was interested in something, I devour it, and that came to, for myself, it transformed into digital marketing and business. And I've worked with a number of companies since, and now ADHD has come about,
It's amazing. We'll talk more about ADHD now in just a second, but you might take us on your journey in these kind of marketing areas. You might take us through some of your career and tell us kind of where you've been, because you've done it all.
Yeah, maybe. I've certainly sat on lots of different sides of the table, you'd say, in that realm. So, yeah, look, I started out in I done sports management coaching in college. I was, extremely into sport. My father is involved in sport, and from that, I was very interested in the sports business side of things, and that brought me into, I just wanted around that realm. When I was, 16, I got very into, online marketing, digital marketing. Social media was just coming around at that stage. I was viewing it like my family actually, like people might notice, especially in this radio station, but Frank Gavin Photography, on Dorset Street is my family's business. So I've always been around in kind of when I look back now, the pictures and the photography and how that framed my view of content and marketing, and even the composition of picture to how you view ads and creative. There's a thread line there, but. After college, I went to a sports marketing agency, Legacy Communications. They're, brilliant. I actually, funny enough, it comes full cycle. I'm working with them now, but, many moons later, and the guys are still there. I love them. But, and then I went on to Innocent Drinks, Innocent Smoothies. So I was looking after the digital marketing and brand of that. And look, I've done many things since, from, global, pharmaceutical brands, and launched them across multiple countries, to being head of online at a large pharmacies, and then I was doing my own businesses and scaling content agencies, working with brands like Ryanair, Pepsi, Duolingo, Gymshark, and then to Tato, Boyne Valley Group, all of those, and Supermax and Club Orange and everything in between.
It's just so impressive. And again, it probably goes to show this kind of ADHD focus, where like you're into it and you're going to consume absolutely every bit of it and push yourself into every single area of it. So this area of ADHD now, can you tell people listening about what ADHD now does?
ADHD now is an online assessment and support service for people with ADHD. So if you think you have ADHD, or if you know someone, be it in your family or a friend who you suspect might have ADHD, they can come to us. We've taken that, traditional, extremely long wait list, and I can get into kind of my journey of founding it and where it came from. But we take that wait list. It's all done online. You do not need to travel. It's all with the most, qualified, respected clinicians we could find. They're incredible, and they're incredibly passionate people that are on the same mission as we are. And the mission is really to provide access and support to anyone with ADHD, no matter where they are. So,
and this kind of idea came from a conversation with friends of yours, kind of in a similar space, but not exactly in the ADHD area. How did that come about?
Yeah, so it came about. I was working with in a previous business I had. We done some content for someone and their company, and we just kept up a relationship. And I went through this diagnosis. They had an online therapy platform, and I said it to them. I was like, look, you should do this. It took me 3 months of phone calls, emails, no responses. I went to my GP. Fortunately, my GP told me to go to the UK.
Yes,
the waitlist times here are like 14 months to go privately.
Crazy.
It's insane. And then fortunately, that night, the GP was on a special interest training group with someone who owned a clinic. And that clinic then responded to one of my previous emails I'd sent them that I hadn't got a response to the next day, and booked me in. And I'm really grateful for that. And it changed my life. Getting a diagnosis completely changed my life, my viewpoint on it, how I manage things. I had I was recently engaged at the time. I'm now married to.
Congratulations.
Thank you, my wife. And my wife actually brought it up to me. She said, I think you might have ADHD. She was listening to a podcast in the first place. We went on that journey of getting a diagnosis. But, and then, when this happened, I was really passionate about it. I started to talk. People came out of the woodwork when I started telling people I got diagnosed with ADHD, saying, I'm on a wait list as well. I've been on a wait list for ages. And it was amazing to really lift the lid on this area of society and what people are going through. And I suppose when you put yourself out there, people can come to you. But we learned from COVID, it could be done through video and telehealth. And I knew I didn't need to be in person. And they said, look, someone else actually has separately come to me. And what we did was we got a group of people together. We met kind of last July/June and discussed it. And then we agreed kind of, okay, this will be kind of the founding group. We'd, raise a bit of money. We'd structure things properly. I'd come in as CEO with my background, and we'd try help. We'd try tackle this issue, not just in Ireland, but globally. It's not just here. We're going into the UK. We're looking at further afield in Europe. We're looking at, wider markets as well. We're partnering now with large businesses and tech platforms that everyone would know the names of. And we're really grateful for the goodwill and support of people, sharing the mission of what we're trying to do, which is...
It's absolutely amazing. So if somebody's listening to this now and they're kind of going, I might have ADHD, I want to find out more about it. Can you talk through maybe the process they go through to, from the start to finish?
Yeah, definitely. So you can come in with us. We've designed it so you can just call us as well.
Okay,
Call us on the
great.
phone. So visit adhdnow.com, and you'll find out everything you need to get in touch with us. But there's a big call button. We understand people with ADHD struggle to message. We have a pop up on the site that will call you back. You know, we know how difficult it is to send a text, read long emails, etc. And we'll explain the whole process, which is a 3-step process. Step 1 is your initial consultation. That's a discussion with one of our psychologists, and they take you through a bit of a pre-screen form, talk to you about why you think you may have ADHD, what is ADHD, and they'll put you through a bit of an assessment. And then from that initial consultation, what happens is they'll identify and they'll put you forward for a full assessment. And that's step 2 and 3. So if you're put forward after step 1, you go forward to your full clinical assessment, which is a much more, multi-hour in-depth interview with multiple screening tools used. I won't go into them and bore people, but it's very technical
It is very technical, yeah.
clinical. And then from that, on step 3, we have report presentation and diagnosis, where you get, again, this is all these measures are based on, previous experience of going through the system to say, well, if you get your diagnosis in step 3, you get brought through it. You get talked to it in a really easy to understand manner. You can ask questions to psychologists. It's very confusing. Imagine getting a quite long report that's very clinical terms and rating scales and methodologies and everything in there. No layperson can understand that. For all the best will of the world of hyperfocus of ADHD, you do get left in the dark a lot. And then, should you be diagnosed with ADHD, we give everyone a free therapy session that goes through with us, because we really believe in giving people the best foot forward. And also you can go on to psychiatry services if you wish and look for, medication interventions. And again, that's not right for everyone. We believe that therapy is right for everyone and everyone should do therapy, but it's a personal choice on the medication side. And you can continue on and do ongoing therapy packages. And then we have a lot coming down the line and further exciting things to announce as we develop them. But we really want to be, the one-stop shop, for want of a better term, for anyone who is seeking an ADHD diagnosis or anyone that has an ADHD diagnosis, really to help support their life and improve it.
And you talked about it there, because it is a big part of it as well for some people, this kind of area of medication around ADHD. Is that something that people can access through your platform as well? Because it's I've even noticed myself trying to get your medication. They can be like, oh, I can't give that to you. You have to wait 30 days because it's a control thing. Is that something you guys are able to do?
Yeah, we do.
Amazing.
So again, we have a clinical director who's looking after that side of the business. And he's incredible. He's one of the leading psychiatrists in the space in ADHD. We talk all the time. The plans that we're building from we're at the very cutting edge of it at the moment. We map out, not what has to be done, but yes, what has to be done, but how can we make that better? And what can we think about? What can we borrow from best in class around the world and bring to Ireland or whatever we're doing here to support people? So, is it a 3-month, here's our launch plan for you to really, set you up for success, to a multi-year continuous care program? We're looking at all that now for it. And that involves, be it psychiatry medication. Personally, I'm on medication myself. I find it very beneficial for me. Again, it's not right for everyone, and it is a personal choice, and it does take a while to get used to it. And it isn't a something you should be on and stay on the rest of your life. It's definitely there to build cognitive pathways, support you, and then as you learn through therapy or assisted, other life systems, you can taper off it. Like I wouldn't like to be on it, or I wouldn't see myself being on it all my life, but I definitely find the benefit now to support me. And I guess I really have to show up. There is a lot of pressure in what we're doing, to be honest with you. I do feel it, because we get phone calls every day. You're talking to people, and what we're doing. I really didn't anticipate this at the start. Was we were doing it, and I wanted to help people, and then all of a sudden this thing grows, and you have people can go online and look at our reviews on our website, and what we hear from people every day in the stories. Like, I'll give one example of stuff that it really shakes you of what you're doing, and it does add to the pressure, but it certainly motivates me to get up in the morning. There was a woman, and this was very early on in the first month of the business, I'd say, who came across us, and she was a single mother. She hadn't done college, but she was going through kind of a level 6 or an additional course to get some further qualifications to further herself. I mean, what a hero.
Totally.
Incredible person. Okay. She had a very young baby, a couple of months old, maybe 7 or 8, and she couldn't travel, right? And because of our service and the way we structured it, she was able to get an ADHD diagnosis. She could do it online through her car, and give her young child to her friend who sat in the coffee shop next door while she got an assessment in her car.
Wow.
And I mean, that really is a story that stuck with me from month one of why we do what we do and how we can touch people's lives for the better, you know, and that generational impact. Going back to that,
we've jumped around it a little bit here as well, and it's kind of touching on what you've just talked about there. You know, people are busy. Let's be honest, people are busy. Yeah. Do you offer kind of out of hours? Is there a way people can do it kind of any time at a time that suits them?
Yeah, we do exactly that. So you can do it late in the evening, you can do it on weekends, you can do it early mornings, you can do it during the time of day that suits you, and that's the point. No matter where you are, you can get an assessment at a time that suits you. You can get it efficiently. You know, you can get it within 1 to 2 weeks. You can start your first initial consultation, and then you proceed there. And in general, it takes 3 to 4 weeks to go through the full assessment, and you can go from a wait list of 12 to 14 months, and now you'll be through your process in 4 weeks.
And you know, talking about it can be a bit gauche, but it's a cost-effective way of doing things as well, right? You know, it's you're trying to make it accessible.
Yeah, we are, and that's where the initial consultation was brought in. It's €89. We specifically brought that in because often you have to go into this paying multiple hundreds of euro up front without knowing if you have a high degree of likelihood of having ADHD. So we really act as a pre-screen to. Some people it's unnecessary to go through those further procedures, and that can be identified very quickly. And then, should you go forward, we have payment plans. You can pay with Klarna. You know, we have a great partnership with Stripe and other technology platforms to allow you to do kind of monthly payments, or you can pay per step and pay as you go through the process, or you can spread it out over 4 months or 3 months. And we've really tried, and people are surprised. They come to us, and oftentimes they think we're too good to be true because we're extremely different to the current system that's out there. But what we're saying is, like, everyone's playing their part here. You know, we are really impressed and really supportive of the whole community in Ireland, trying to support people who are neurodiverse and get assessments across the board. And we think, everyone's working as hard as they can, from other private clinics as us, the government as well. Like, there is a huge demand. It's a wave. Everyone's trying their best here, and we are approaching it in certainly, you'd say, a novel and unique way. But it's built from the pains of the system that I've gone through, the pains of the system that other people have gone through, and we've tried to make it specifically for that neurodiverse person who's looking for support.
Matthew, it's an amazing product. Can remind us again where we can find it and where people can go to get more.
So visit adhdnow.com. You can search for us on Instagram, TikTok, any of your socials, ADHD Now. And if you call us, I really do encourage you to call us and ask the question. We'll pick up the phone. You'll likely have me answer the phone to you if it runs over often. But yeah, please visit adhdnow.com, and we look forward to supporting you in whatever way we can.
Matthew Gavin, CEO and founder of ADHD Now. Thanks for your time.